Hey fanboys, hey fangirls, Carnell Holley here, and we're at the end of the day of day one of Southern-Fried Gaming Expo, the 12th annual, and I'm with the iconic pioneering game designer, Mr. Howard Scott Warshaw. Sir,
Thank you.
sir,
Pleasure to be here, man.
say, no, sir, I'm a little excited.
Call me Howard.
Uh, Howard, you got me thinking Marvel now. Now, part of me wants to just go ahead and say like I want to get psychoanalyzed so he can say that I'm Batman. But um, is this your first time here?
First time at this convention.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now going in, what were your expectations?
Well, I pretty much expected to come here and talk to some people and have a good time and, sell some DVDs and books
Mm,
and meet some fans and just enjoy the hell out of myself because that's what I do at conventions, you know?
nice, nice. Now, sir, we're here. Um, your career in game design now. At least for those that don't know. Now, it's considered infamous. Why is the ET game so infamous for the Atari?
Well, the ET game is infamous because the ET game is reputed to have destroyed the video game industry in the early 80s. You know, the big crash
Mm,
happened in the early 80s. A lot of people have attributed that to the ET game, to the failed expectations of uh, uh, consumers, of
oh,
players, right, who got the game with high expectations because ET was a fabulous movie,
it
and
was.
those expectations were not met with the game. It was also a game that was a heroic achievement in the sense that it was done in 5 weeks at a time when games normally took 6 months to make.
Mm,
So I was under enormous pressure to produce this game. I produced a completed game, but in only 5 weeks, you just don't have the time to tune it and tweak it to the point where, because it's, okay, let's see. I did 4 games for Atari.
right.
I did Yar's Revenge, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Mm,
E.T. Those were all released by Atari. I did another game called Saboteur that Atari kind of folded before that got released. It was released 20 years later on the flashback system.
okay.
So, but my first 3 games, all million sellers, all games of distinction.
Mm,
Yar's Revenge is known as one of the all-time best games,
okay.
and E.T. is known as the all-time worst game. So I have the greatest range of any game designer in history. But I'm very proud of the work that I did for Atari. I'm proud of the ET game for what I produced. I do regret that I didn't have enough time to really deliver what I would consider a full-on HSW product.
Hmm. In layman's terms.
In layman's terms, so here's the thing, when you only have enough time to deliver your first shot,
Okay.
you don't have enough time to tune, you don't have enough time to reflect, and that's where a game goes from okay to really good or even great.
Hmm.
Right? You need to have reflection time. You need to be able to really get into a game, get it set, get it settled, and then step away from it, kind of let it go, and then come back to it with fresh eyes. Because
Okay.
in the middle of an intense development like this, you lose perspective. You can't
Sure.
help but lose perspective. So you need a chance to refresh and regain perspective, then come back fresh. I never had that opportunity with E2.
It was on go. So there was never any beta testing from within the company. It was just
Well, there was a QA department,
okay.
right? So they would be playing the game. I would be getting bug reports and some feedback,
Hmm.
but by and large, there wasn't really enough time to do a full cycle. This game wasn't really playable until just a very short while before release.
Gotcha.
I mean, to really do a full VCS game in 5 weeks, that's a pretty amazing thing. I mean, most people will tell you. And I will put ET up against any other 5 week development on the VCS. That's for sure.
So, is it typically during that time or just in general up to now that it's usually like you said a 6 week turnaround or
5 week,
5 week turnaround?
5 weeks from zero
Mm,
to delivered game. 5 weeks. Now, some of that story is told in the DVD. This is my DVD. I did a DVD series called Once Upon Atari. This is a documentary series. It's the only piece of media that's done entirely by people who actually worked in the VCS department at Atari. with the exception of Nolan Bushnell. He didn't work in the VCS department that much,
Mm.
but we know who Nolan is,
Right, right.
and he's in there. And this is the real inside story of day to day what went on. And this is available at onceuponatari.com. I regret to say that I do not have a copy of my actual book because they sold out. But Once Upon Atari, the book, the Once Upon Atari, How I Made History by Killing an Industry, is available on Amazon as a paperback, as an ebook, and as an audiobook. And I did read the audiobook myself.
Okay.
And that is my personal story. And that is my story of everything that went on at Atari, the amazing excesses, the crazy stories, the crazy money, the weird things that we did, the successes, the failures, everything that went on, and the interdepartmental strife and struggles that went on, the cultural transition from Nolan Bushnell to Ray Kazar and Warner, and how that disabled and undermined the company. And also what I did was went on through several other careers and ultimately became a psychotherapist.
Right.
And so all of that story is in Once Upon Atari in a very amusing and a very fresh and unusual voice.
Nice, nice. Because I mean, I read your bio for here, and it's just like a psychotherapist that's and you're stationed in Silicon Valley, or
Yeah.
you practice it. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the Silicon Valley therapist. I specialize in hyper nerds and those trying to love them.
Sweet. No, have you had a chance, or has anybody asked you to psychoanalyze them at any convention?
No,
Okay. Because
usually
usually
they're not looking to spend that much money at a convention.
it's not for free. Now, as far as your book, is it going to be a series, or is it just that one as far as the book itself?
Right now, it's that book, and the DVD is separate. They have the same title, but
Okay.
the DVD is the story of everyone who worked at Atari, telling you in their own words what it was like being there.
Mm.
The thing that people told me was missing from this DVD, so I did the DVD series first.
Mm.
And what people have told me is missing from there is me, because I host this, but I didn't put much of myself in it because I edited this, and I didn't want to be the person who hogs the editing booth.
Right.
So people always said, well, what about you? You were an interesting character. I was one of the main characters at Atari. And I thought, yeah, I kind of left that out. So then I went back and wrote the book. And people were asking me for years, when are you going to write the book? This is my fourth book.
Mm.
So I've written a number of books, and people went, well, Howard, you write these books, you write all this stuff. When are you going to write the Atari story? So finally I did. It took me years to put it together. It was very cathartic.
Right. So it's interesting because you're already displaying different avenues of what your skills are. Now, I mean, you mentioned off camera as far as video production. What are the similarities or connections between that and game designing?
Well, video production, writing, particularly narrative style writing, psychotherapy, they're all about systems,
Mm.
right? It's all about finding an ordered structure to something,
Mm-hmm.
or finding deviations from an appropriate structure that create issues and trying to fix that. Like, for instance, in a book, when you're writing a book, so suppose you need to change something in one part of the book. You're going to change a little bit of the story.
Right.
Now you have to go back to all the other places in the story where that makes a difference and change those parts too.
Makes sense.
Otherwise, it's not going to make sense. People are going to go, oh, look, you forgot about that. Just like in a program, in a software program, when you make a change in one part of the program, you have to change everything else
Okay.
that goes with it so that you don't create bugs.
Right.
And a video is the same kind of thing. It's storytelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you have a cohesive narrative, and you could think of the flow of a computer program as a narrative in a sense, because it is a flow of ideas and structure. So in any of those things, there's a system that has integrity, ideally, and sometimes things get a little out of whack that become bugs or mistakes
Mm-hmm.
or logical flaws. There's a lot of different names people have for them, right?
Right.
But they're all similar in that regard. Like people ask me, how did I go from being a programmer to being a therapist? Right? Because programmers don't have people skills. How could I possibly do that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am a weird dude in that I happen to be like
Instead
a
of
hyper nerd who has people skills, right? But I'm bilingual, right? I speak both nerd and English,
Okay.
right? So I can translate between the two. But the fact is, because if you look at programmers and therapists as systems analysts, which I
Hmm.
think is what they are,
Okay.
I really didn't change jobs that much. I just moved on to a more sophisticated hardware in the human brain.
Right. I like that because I was not expecting the transition, the connection for that. That's hot, especially with the yes.
If you like these
Mhm.
ideas, if you like people just riffing and jamming on ideas while telling a fun and interesting story, then you're going to love Once Upon Atari, How I Made History by Killing an Industry. Available on Amazon in an ebook, a paperback, or the audiobook. And
Mm,
I
that
read
you
the audiobook myself, and because I wouldn't let anybody else do it.
right. It's just like I know my story. You're gonna hear.
Well, I'm way too quirky to have someone else be able to tell you.
I like that. That's hot. I like that. I was nice. As far as gaming and keeping with the aesthetic. Now, you've played games, or are you still considered a what level of gamer would you say you are?
Oh, I would say I'm a casual gamer at this
Okay.
point.
Well, what's your comfort game?
Uh, well, my comfort game is Robotron. That's a classic console, classic point-op game. I love that game.
Which
But
which
right now, what I'm playing
Okay.
is Spider-Man on the PS5.
Okay.
Loving that. And I play a lot of Royal Match. I play too much of Royal Match. I'm like at level 3,000 something in that game. It's insane. I used to do the Soda Crush and Candy Crush stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I always have some game that I'm just playing.
Right. I did not. I've never played Candy Crush. As far as the addiction that I can wholeheartedly say I'm addicted to this game. Uh, Crash Royale. I'm on it. If you played it, yes, I'm addicted. But that's hot. I'm still back on the whole.
And if the addiction gets too big,
Hmm.
I'm a therapist. I can help you with that.
Right. Appreciate you. I think it's a healthy addiction, but I mean
It is. We
it
all
can.
need a little addiction now and then. I got to tell
We
you.
all have our vices. Now, as far as I know you're a busy man. And are you getting any more books in? I know you sold out today.
There will be some more books. There's more books at registration, and
Okay.
there's someone who I went to a show at another place. He had some surplus books he brought here,
Okay.
so there will be some books available tomorrow.
Sweet, sweet. As far
It's
as
easy for you to get cutaways though. If you want to go online, look up Once Upon Atari the book.
mm,
Go to onceuponatari.com and you will see some great shots, product shots of the book. You
okay.
can feel free to lift those.
Oh, no doubt. It'll be in there so people can see.
And this is the Once Upon Atari DVD series. If you go to onceuponatari.com, you can get both the DVD and the book autographed personally by me.
Mm. Yeah, if you can't make it,
Or get them on Amazon or come out to the show.
mm.
I'm here. I'm talking tomorrow and try and stop me talking.
So as far as your scheduling for this weekend, what's still in play?
Oh, I'm talking tomorrow at 4 o'clock
Okay.
and I'm signing here at the table at 5 o'clock.
Mm.
And I will be here at the table signing and autographing Yours Revenges, ETs, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Once Upon Atari books, Once Upon Atari DVDs. If you got it, I will sign it. And I'll be here Sunday morning at 11 also.
All right. Well, you heard it here. I'm Carnell
This is,
Holley.
I am Howard Scott Warshaw, and it was a pleasure to be here with Carnell, I got to say.
Appreciate you.